Welcome to She Said,
where we usually chat the highs and lows of the business of film and TV,
shine a light on women who empower us,
and dish on plot twists in our lives we just had to say, let's too.
However, in today's episode, we'll be doing things a bit differently. We told you all that we're going to start doing some different episodes this year.
And that is why it's just Kay and I today, because this is, are you ready for it? Wait.
The Hot Girl Summer episode. We are now in Gemini season and getting into June, which this will come out in June, which used to mean it was time for summer break. However, neither Hannah or I have had such a thing for over a decade. And now that we live in LA, much of the year is summer because it's always, it's usually a nice day here. Yet, as soon as it hits 80 degrees and the pool parties are prevalent, we do get in quite a hot girl summer mood.
Oh, yeah. And in film and TV, summer signifies adventure, new love, travel, bearing more skin, and all around general hotness. So we are going to try and keep this within a similar format to our normal episodes, just like a little pop and some of the segments you already know and love. So
yeah, a hot girl summer twist.
Shall we?
Yeah.
Shall we?
We shall. We have a little bit of limoncello, which feels like it's very summer. Limoncello. We're in Italy.
I was just
right
about
now.
to say it feels like we're in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to light up the little joint.
You do that.
Wow.
So the listeners may or may not know that I am not much of a film girly. I write and watch TV primarily. However, I happen to think that the movies of the 90s to 2000s were elite. Obviously, we grew up during that time, so of course we think that. But they did make quite an impact on me, I will say.
So today we are doing a spin on our segment.
Let's go back.
Where we will talk about summer movies that shaped us and our art and why.
So I'm going to start with a movie that many probably know and love called It Takes Two, which I know I talked about Mary-Kate and Ashley in our girly pop stock culture episode that we had not too long ago. But in this movie, Mary-Kate and Ashley go away to summer camp as long-lost twins, essentially. One is the prim and proper, like, girly girl, and the other is the tomboy orphan. And I saw both sides of me in these two. And I thought that was something that was really cool that I could obviously relate to both of them. Also, something that I love that they did in this was that both of the parental figures were very loving. I think sometimes when we have like these situations, like the orphan is like the sad story and then is saved by the rich people or whatever it is, but you never really felt, you almost felt more bad for the rich girl than you did for the orphan girl as far as like a loving parent goes. And I was just talking with a friend about how Kirstie Alley was low-key hot in this movie. Like when she falls in the water in that big ass t-shirt, and maybe it was also just her and that guy together that was hot, but we wanted that romance bad, so camp is a place to be embarrassed, to be forced out of your comfort zone, to try new foods because that's all there is. And that happened with Ashley's character when she tried a sloppy joe for the first time, which, I love a sloppy joe. I haven't had a sloppy joe in years.
I haven't watched that movie in so fucking long, and you just unlocked a core memory for me because I don't think I've watched this since I was a kid.
Yeah, and they have that like food fight or whatever when she's like eating the sloppy joe. I love that.
That was such, wholeheartedly agree.
Also, I feel like camp is a place to get injured and get bug bites and, and to be nerve about getting in your bathing suit in front of a bunch of people that you don't know or you never met.
I feel like camp growing up also, it's just like, it's a way to get away from your parents and just kind of like fuck off and learn to live on your own in a sense.
And with strangers.
It's kind of like sending your kid off to pre-college.
Yeah.
Almost.
I know. I think everybody should go to camp, honestly. I know it's quite expensive a lot of the time, so some people can't afford to go to camp, but camp definitely breeds character, as they say. And after this movie, I became obsessed with camp adventures, and even that show, that reality show that they had called Bug Juice on Disney. Do you remember this show?
I don't remember Bug Juice.
This was like a specific show, like a reality show where it was about a camp and about the people who went to the camp. I loved camp, and I would have been at camp all year round if I could have been. So
Okay, well, I feel like no one is going to be shocked by this answer, but we're going to bring it up again because I will bring up this film any chance I get. But any listener of this pod should know by now that I love Mamma Mia.
loves it.
Now I'm only going to specifically talk about the first one because the second one came out in 2010 and it's 10 years later, blah, 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 whatever. But the Mamma Mia franchise and the first one in itself, it was, I think, one of the first musicals that I actually fell in love with growing up. And just the adventure surrounding it. Like, you're in Greece, like this beautiful island in the middle of Greece, surrounded by water. It's a love story. It's so beautiful that you feel that energy that they're trying to exude from the film. And I think anytime, I mean, not even think, anytime I watch that, it just instantly makes me happier. And it brings out my inner child, I think, because I'm just dancing around, singing. It reminds me of like going to my grandma's house whenever I was younger, and she would be singing and dancing around the kitchen and just making food. And it reminded me of like the older women in that film. So it has a really special place in my heart, and I will forever love Mamma Mia. But I think how it inspires my art now is, again, going back into my inner child and learning more. I think unlocking different memories from my childhood that I may have suppressed. Like, it's almost like a therapy, weirdly enough.
Yeah, a lot of films are. Well, my second one has to be, and some of these also, we're just going to say we have talked about a lot of these before in
Yeah.
different senses, obviously. So, Crossroads, I have to bring up because it's Britney fucking Spears, obviously, who I love. And then Zoe Saldana, Taryn Manning, Justin Long, Kim Cattrall plays her mom, which I'm like, I almost forget sometimes because I think because I was so young, I wasn't like watching Sex in the City or anything. So like she wasn't Samantha to me at the time. She was
Right.
like
That was
Brittany's mom.
mom.
A road trip movie screams Hot Girl Summer for sure. And there's something about like a convertible with the top down, like singing with your girls that feels so great. For me, it was in my red Mitsubishi Eclipse with my girlfriend screaming emo songs and drinking slevs as we called it, which is 7-Eleven Sleven.
You called it slevs.
Slevs.
I kind of love that.
Yeah, because it's like
Slevs.
7-Eleven. We gotta hit up Slevs today. Like let's go get a Slurpee from Slevs.
Wait, can
Slurpee
we
from
bring that
Slevs.
back?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been saying it. Now you just gotta spread it. Spread the word. All of
Spread
you
the word.
spread Slevs. So we would mix them with vodka, but that's very bad, and no one should ever do this. We were very young and dumb. What's that Boys Like Girls song where it's like, let's get drunk and drive around?
Oh, it's the music video with Ashley Tisdale.
Great Escape or whatever. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then they do karaoke in a contest to win money, which is also incredibly summer coded. I feel like, of course, something always happens when young people are on a trip away from home where they lose everything and they're like forced into this janky charade that they must get out of. And of course, they did karaoke because they wanted Brittany to sing, Also, she had that crimped hair that she rocked in that scene, which is reminiscent of the same hair that I'm sure a lot of you had seen me have with several episodes, and even Hannah. Give me that 3-barreler baby, it's coming back. So, but also Shonda Rhimes wrote this, which is literally crazy. So you knew it was going to be deep in the emotional side too. Is this new news to you?
I didn't know Shonda Rhimes wrote this.
Yeah, it was like one of her first films before she was, doing TV and stuff.
Now look at her, fucking Bridgerton. She does so much shit for Netflix now. But like,
I know,
good for you,
I know.
Shonda.
That's why when people are
Shonda.
like, Crossroads did not get the appreciation that it needed back in the day. Like, this was actually a good movie. Like, a good movie, not just like a gag movie with Britney in it. It was a good movie, a good story.
I don't think it got the recognition it deserved because people weren't taking Britney as seriously as
Yeah.
they should have been taking her the entirety of her career.
Yeah, 100%. And we talk teen pregnancy in it, abuse, female friendships, fears, depression. There are like so many tough topics in it that were really executed beautifully in this. And it will be forever one of my favorite movies. So,
I completely forgot about, but again, unlocking core memories. The movie Sleepover. Do you remember this movie?
was it Alexa
Alexa
something from like,
Vega, I
yeah, from
think
Spy
Alexa
Kids?
Panovich. But the whole adventure aspect of that movie, I loved having sleepovers with my friends. Even to this day, I love having like little random adult sleepovers. I think they're so much fun. We just like
So much fun.
we'll do like anytime we go on a trip, we essentially have just like one big sleepover where we'll just like get in our pajamas, we'll throw on face masks, throw on eye masks, fucking sing karaoke to our like to each other, like dance around, just have a good time. And a lot of the time we'll also go on these random little adventures. I'm just thinking Joshua Tree. Um, or your birthday in Big Bear. Also, again, that was all they were chasing a guy. Like that's what they were going after. They were chasing a boy, which not necessarily saying that that speaks to my art, but the fact of like chasing something for a further goal at such a young age, and then also having to like jump through all these random hoops and like scheme and plot. Like I love a plot and scheme moment, and
Yeah,
I
so do
think
I.
that that's really pertinent now to the art that I think not only I create, but like you are creating as well.
I'm going all in these different genres here. I'm going all over the place. Okay. So my next one is I Know What You Did Last Summer, which summer is even in the name. So, of course, this is a summer movie. It has another stacked cast, which is Sarah Michelle Gellar, Freddie Prinze Jr., Jennifer Love Hewitt. Back in the day, everyone had three names. It was kind of a mouthful, but
Yeah, late '90s, everybody did have three
Ryan,
names.
I know, Ryan Phillippe, Anne Heche. Like, so one thing that makes this a summer movie, I think, is the shared trauma, and even better that it is amongst teenagers because teens are very emotional, as we know, and they cannot make sound decisions about virtually anything, or so the movies tell us. So that makes things really complicated, I think, in these types of scenarios and ups the drama, which is why a lot of times when something crazy happens, it is two teenagers so that you can have an excuse of why they're not really figuring shit out how they should. And then to make things even worse, a shared secret that could be dire for all characters involved. And there's always one that wants to tell the truth about something crazy that happens. You know what I mean? Like, let's go to the cops. It was an accident. And it's like always the line that they use. So stupid.
We should call the authorities.
Yeah, that's never me, by the way. If that was, I would never be the one who's like, yeah, let's narc on ourselves.
No.
No. Also, I think like situations like that bring out the best or the worst in people, and you finally learn the inner workings of who some of these characters actually are when they're faced with a life threatening killer, per se. This movie and many other horror movies taught me about kind of being a survivor because I was constantly thinking of what I would do in these scenarios. And I think also being a problem solver in a lot of my writing too, as far as like, okay, what would I do? What would somebody else I know do? Who would be this character? Who would be that character? And why would they be based off of their background? Oh, they want to tell because this happened to them when they were younger and nobody did anything or whatever. It it helped me think about like why people make the decisions that they make when they're faced with like something like this, like, someone who accidentally is murdered or not murdered, I guess, in this case, in the first place, but then is murdered later on, you know? Spoiler.
Okay, well then we will go into the Lizzie McGuire movie. Sing to me, Paolo. I mean, again, with the
Also,
sense
you
of
need to mention that Jose Nateras, our previous guest,
oh my
that
gosh.
in his movie Departing Seniors, he had the actor who plays Paolo.
So
True.
if you have not seen Departing Seniors, we highly recommend
He's in it.
you watch it because
Paolo.
it's so good and there's a little it takes you for a little loop. in a way. I, again, with the sense of adventure of this film in itself and going to a different country with your school at what the ripe age of 13, and then falling in love with a beautiful Italian man, or being love bombed by a beautiful Italian man, which at that point, I mean, love bomb the fuck out of me, Paul.
Who cares? Give it to
Care.
me.
I don't care.
I'll
I'm an
take it.
adventure in Italy. Let me have this for 5 minutes. And then she becomes a little like 15. She had her little 15 minutes of fame and had a little pop moment. And I think that kind of taught me from a young age just like say yes to things more. Like do the thing that you may not necessarily want to do at first. Like try to push yourself to go out of your comfort zone. Feel the fear and do it anyway, if you will. I have that tattooed on my body. But
Wow. I also had the Lizzie McGuire movie, and I went to Rome later in my life to study abroad when I was 20 years old. And who knows if I would have pushed this hard to go to Rome if it wasn't for my love of this movie my whole life. As many other girls during this time, I was obsessed with Lizzie, of course. I thought she had the perfect life, minus that twerp of a brother of hers. I'm an only child, and I always did want a younger brother, but I just really couldn't stand his ass. I don't know if it was the actor or what the fuck it was. I still love Hilary Duff to this day, and a fun fact is that I even used to do her makeup sometimes for a short period of time after she had a run-in with paparazzi, and I hid her from them. But alas, back to Rome we go, one of the most romantic places I could think of. And not only does she fall in love, as you mentioned there, but she also becomes a star. And that's the thing about summer adventures. The movies make you believe that all of your dreams could come true when it's summertime. So, of course, we're always looking forward to the summer, you know? And what is more hot, girl, than fulfilling your career goals and singing with an Italian pop star that happens to look just like you, but with brown hair? And that is what dreams are made of. That is what that's what they taught me there. Also, back in that day, everyone was always like a twin or like a doppelganger or something. You know what I mean? Like they really.
But can we also just touch on the fact that this bitch was literally 13?
Yeah, they always made you think that you could do stuff when you were really young, and I think that's on a bad sense. I think that's where a lot of us, like when we have these dreams and we don't become like famous when we're like, 13, 14, 15 or whatever it is, or we're working, I'm in my 30s now. So
I'm almost in my 30s.
And it's like, okay, I'm a loser. Like this is what's supposed to be happening. Why isn't it happening for me?
It really pushes self-doubt on yourself more. And I think that's a really good point to touch on, because we talk about this often, is the comparison between ages and like your
accomplishments.
Yeah, it like there are people who are in their 50s and 60s and 70s and up accomplishing things for the first time in their lives, and I think that is such a beautiful, like, it's such a beautiful process, and everybody needs to be this. Just let this be a reminder to be a little bit easier on yourself, because not everybody's path looks exactly the same, and the shit that you see on TV and in film is a lot of the time
it's not real,
made up.
Yeah,
it is. There can be points pulled from certain aspects of life, but it's not all going to be reality. My next one is kind of out of the box here. It's Shrek.
Okay.
That was one of the first films that I was understanding of the little hidden jokes that they had in there, and how you can input different adult humor into projects that are primarily aimed at like children. But that's also a way to, like, this is an all ages film. Everybody can enjoy it. But I think I also always wanted to be like the princess that was saved, and seeing something so beautiful then turn into an ogre. It's like, well, it's also being able to find the beauty in everything.
Yeah.
And sure. I think that has also inspired my art, because you have to find the beauty in everything. There's going to be locations that you shoot at that may not be up to speed with what you're thinking for your project, but you have to find a way to make it work seamlessly.
Yeah. And
And
also,
adventure.
it's, you know, thinking about that everyone thinks of beauty differently, right? Because
Exactly.
she was so beautiful to him even when she was an ogre. And so beauty
I
is,
so
what's that one word that like means like, I guess in the eye
beauty
of
is
the
universal.
beholder, like what I think is beautiful is so different than what you think is beautiful. So, and I think I might think something is ugly that you think is beautiful. So you just never know, you know?
This is why we have different taste in men.
It's very true. It's very true. Well, the next one that I have, I'm going back to Rome. Okay, I'm just staying in Italy. Apparently, low Euro trips, they're for me. And ever since I turned 30, I've been doing this, trying to have my own eat, pray, love moment, which is the movie that I picked. However, it turns more into an eat, shop, create moment, which we love that for me. I usually am not much of a relaxer in general, but also not on these
Shocking.
type of trips. I wish my body would allow me to be, because it appears that Julia had many revelations, when she was doing all this relaxing in all of these three places. I believe she goes to India to pray, eat in Rome, and then I forget where she goes to love. Is it
I
Paris?
believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I
it
mean,
was
that makes it
Paris.
makes sense. I suppose that might be wrong, but I haven't seen this movie in forever. However, I think that these trips really help me with letting go of something each time I'm away. So I went to London to study abroad when I was 19 years old, and I let go of a very toxic relationship that I was in shortly thereafter. I went to Italy at 20 years old, and I let go of the state that I grew up in, knowing that I would be leaving immediately after I graduated. Of course, I always had that dream of doing that, but I think it really cemented in me that, hey, I can live by myself. I can be in another country and figure shit out. My parents haven't helped me with anything. They didn't help me with a lot of things growing up, anyways. But I think it was really like a shock to be put in like a whole nother culture where sometimes they don't speak English and all of these things. So of course I could move to another state in the US and be totally fine by myself if I could live there when I was a teenager. So the ones in my 30s were actually kind of stressful, the trips that I took. I wish I had more time in each place that I was in so I could really like immerse myself in the culture and have like a boring day where I just literally have no idea what I'm doing and I just walk around. Because you know me, I'm always like planning out each thing. Okay, I got a dinner reservation here, and now I'm going to this show, and now I'm going to
You
this
are
museum. And
you never give yourself a moment to just be spontaneous. You always have to have everything so calculated and planned.
yeah,
But I think you do need to take a trip somewhere, again, another solo trip somewhere where you take one day, just one day. Doesn't have to be the whole time, just one day from the trip, and you don't plan anything.
yeah,
You wake up in the morning, you go on a little stroll, and just like maybe even from Patty's episode, which I don't know if it'll come out before or after this.
after.
You will hear in Patty's episode, we talk a little bit about meditation and like mindful meditation. So I think that could be very meditative for you, is just like even putting it, you don't have to put on like a podcast or anything,
No,
throw in
just
some
seeing the
music, like
sounds and
calming music in like one ear, or just listen to nature.
yeah, or the people, because I'll
Yeah.
be in like a city or something. So
Yeah,
I'll just listen to all the people around.
exactly.
That'd be cool.
Okay, sticking on the Europe vibe. My next one is Euro Trip.
I love this movie,
For
and I actually forgot about this.
oh my god, I will never forget about Euro Trip. It's like there's so many different parts to it that are just so outlandish and hilarious. But I think that film in itself, one, inspired the comedic aspect of my brain, the adventure side, and seeing them go again, like fresh out of, I think it was high school graduation,
Yeah, I
right?
think so.
They graduated high school, they were getting ready to go to college. And I think I did something similar to that, but I didn't go to Europe. We went to Erie, Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
But
Very similar.
it was like the first kind of trip that my friends and I had taken without anybody else. It was just the four of us. And we were kind of prepping to, one, for me to move because I was moving to LA quite literally a month later. We were celebrating my birthday and my friend's birthday at the, like, Brooke's birthday. We were celebrating our birthdays, and that, I think, seeing that film kind of inspired that trip because we
Yeah.
acted so fucking chaotic and just had a great time and got into like random little shit.
Well, the next one that I will do, I know you also have, is your last one.
Mm-hmm.
And we are still going to be partially in Europe, which is the sisterhood of the traveling pants. Did I ever believe that these pants fit all these bitches? Absolutely not. It is scientifically impossible for them to fit all of them super well the way they were acting like it was.
Yep.
But I did love the way that a piece of clothing could bond these girls from afar as they had their own summer adventures. And if I recall correctly, most of them had a summer love story as well, which, you know, everybody loves a summer love story because also it added a bunch of hot dudes that were very popular during the time for each of them to have. And I think the idea of going so far away and meeting someone new is very summer because during the school year, you don't often get these types of opportunities. You're often like seeing the same fucking people that you grew up with or what have you. Like there might be one new kid a year or a couple new kids a year, and like the likelihood of you even liking this person is, you know, who knows. Also, what the studio did very well in marketing this was allowing young girls to attach themselves to a character as they were all very different from one another. This is kind of similar to like the boy band or the girl group phenomenon that we had where we were like, I'm Ginger Spice or I'm whatever it is. You could decide which one that you were most like with your friend group, and that was always bonding when you were watching something as well. But I did think I liked this movie because I did think it showed some of the harder issues that young girls grow up with. If I remember correctly, I think one of them might have had like some sort of disordered eating issues. Another one, you know, had issues either with it was her dad or her mom was gone or something.
Her parents were divorced. She was visiting her dad.
Yeah.
Another one was
In the new family or whatever. Another one was learning about the culture of like who she was in Greece with like this family that she didn't necessarily know too well, and the differences between like being an American and being this.
Yeah, and then the feud between the families of the guy that she was interested in.
Yeah.
And then the last girl stayed back in the hometown to make a documentary and met this little girl who she brought on to be her assistant. Like it's kind of a love story in a sense, but like a big sister type love story because the little girl had cancer, I believe.
Yeah. So like this isn't just some sort of like fluffy girly, you know, movie as you would see it in a sense. Like these were actually teaching us life lessons within it, and that it was okay to have a complicated life and still be able to share something and with your friends and have the support of your friends while you're going through all this and the support of the goddamn pants.
Yeah.
You know?
It really does show like a true pact of how like
a sisterhood
and how you like not all of your family has to be your biological family.
Chosen family.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
I honestly couldn't have said that any better myself.
Well, my last one that I will mention is The Parent Trap. And it is essentially the exact same plot as It Takes Two. But I just had to mention this because because of Lindsay Lohan's stellar performance playing both of the characters. This was like her breakout role. She had really like almost never done anything before this, and she was so good, even as a child star. Obviously, I mentioned summer camp before. But more specifically, I went to Blue Lake Fine Arts Camp, where I got a scholarship to play the flute. I can't remember if I've ever mentioned this on the podcast before, but it's actually the same camp that American Pie was based on. The guys who
what?
Yeah, the guys who wrote American Pie are from East Grand Rapids, so that's where the movie is supposed to take place. You know, when they're always going to like the lake houses and stuff, that's like lake houses on Lake Michigan, like in near Grand Rapids that they have. And then Blue Lake Fine Arts Camp, I think, is like around Muskegon, and that's where call me Allison Hannigan because I played the goddamn flute. I did not stick it up my V. I was very young. Not that I would do it now. I will say that. It seems like an infection waiting to happen.
Little, yeah.
But we already talked, obviously, of my love of camp, but something that Lindsay did in this that was different that I picked up from in this movie was her fake English accent. And even to this day, if you catch me after about 3 margaritas, perhaps even 2, you shall hear the Brit come out of me.
Oh yeah, we're big accent girlies.
Oh, we love it. Well, all of us have seen enough time travel movies to last us a lifetime. But in today's newer segment, which we introduced in our Girly Pop Stock Culture episode, we are going to do it. We're going to do a bit of it ourselves because this is Let's Rewrite History.
So, in the case of today's theme, we will be discussing a summer of years past that we would like to redo and go through a bucket list of sorts of what would make this the hottest hot girl summer imaginable.
Yeah, so when I was thinking up segments for this episode, someone that I know mentioned the movie The To-Do List, which stars Aubrey Plaza. And it's quite old, so I haven't seen it in a long time, but I do know I couldn't recall everything that happened to it, but I do know that it's like the gist of it is that, it's the summer, this girl was a valedictorian, she decides to have, the hottest hot girl summer ever by doing everything that she didn't do in high school because she wasn't really living. She was just working to be like the best she could in high school, and that even includes having sex for the first time, which is often a summer like theme as well too. Like let me lose my virginity before I go away to college or whatever the hell, because everyone's like, I can't be a virgin in college.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Like in terms of film and TV,
yeah,
it is like a very
it's
thing.
not like it's not like for us, but just in film and TV. Also, I must mention Booksmart as well because it is a movie that really changed me. And I think I've talked about it before. I'm not sure in what episode.
I think so.
But these two girls having a wild summer after graduation and living their best life made me want to slow down on the work that I was currently doing and open myself up to spontaneous adventures as well when that movie came out. However, the summer after sophomore year was very iconic for me. I was 15 years old and I was in the process of switching schools from Zeeland East to Zeeland West, which honestly was just a tiny walk away. You had classes in both the schools. It wasn't like that big of a deal, but they did have a better competitive cheer team. And so part of the reason why I wanted to switch was because technically I was in school of choice to be in East because I technically lived in the West area, but I had gone to the middle school, which feeds into the East school. So it just made sense for me to continue in that. So really, I just went back to where I was supposed to be in the first place. But it was mostly for cheerleading, honestly. The other team sucks. Sorry about it. So I was going into a new era of hot girlness. West was definitely the hot girl school. Like it had like more popular girls and boys, honestly, at it. And also I was dating a swimmer from there that looked perfect with me. And we all know how I love couples that look good together. And we looked great together. Our aesthetics were popping. We dressed similar, whatever. He was obsessed with me, or so I thought, until he broke up with me and then got with a girl who I found to be quite uggo. I will just say it, and annoying. If people say that they're not thinking about like, oh, I'm hotter than the new person that you're with that you like left me for, then they are lying to you. Okay, they are lying, and I'm honest. So that's what I'm doing here.
I wouldn't. I mean, I would tell you that, but I wouldn't say it.
See, I'm honest. I am saying it. In this scenario, at the time when I was 15 years old, yeah. I said, how could he leave me? We looked perfect together. This girl is not even as pretty as me, and she's so annoying. She had the most annoying voice, and I'm big on voices.
I know you are big on voices.
And she was from a neighboring school too. So there was always like that like rivalry thing, you know what I mean? And so it didn't help that shortly after I started, this happened shortly after I started telling him some dark stuff that was currently happening in my life, which of course made me scared to open up to people as much
that's
after
how it
that.
always happened.
Yeah,
wow.
I know.
Wow, they really get you.
They get
They
you.
really get you.
They say I'm obsessed with you, but really they
They're
don't
like,
want to know anything about
let
you.
me love bomb you really quick and then tell me all trauma dump to me.
Hmm.
And then I'm actually going to pull the rug out from underneath you and
Yeah, and then make
fuck
you feel like
you
a
over
freak
so
for
bad.
telling you all this stuff.
Yeah.
So you never want to open up to anyone again. So I spent the summer weeping and trying not to listen to Mariah Carey's We Belong Together because it would cause me to have a literal breakdown. I I I couldn't listen to that song for like 10
Oh,
years
Mariah
after that.
Carey.
I'm not even
No,
kidding.
honestly, the post breakup song thing, it I get it. I get
There's just
it.
certain songs. Every time it would come on the radio, even in somebody else's car, I would like immediately switch it. I'd be like, no, turn this, freaking out about it.
Yeah, because you
Um,
become emotionally attached to the songs just because of the memories attached to them themselves. And then you have to like, it's almost like skin cycling. Like every
yeah,
7 years, your skin rejuvenates and like cycles.
snakes.
So new cells build.
So I threw the pink diamond heart necklace that he gave me into Lake Michigan off of the pier, and I self sabotaged till the next school year. However, that was the real story. But this is the list I wish I would have done instead. Number one, teepee that girl's house. Okay. I think her name was Amy. I'm gonna use her real name. Never seen her again. Don't even know. Never seen her after that summer. So I don't even know where she is or what she's doing. Somebody could find her maybe. So maybe I should apologize to her after this. Who knows? So we used to TP all the time. We never really egged because I felt like that was like too mean. Like who knows what will happen with egging. Or we would write on people's cars with like those car marker things.
Oh, that's
Those ones?
good. That's
Yeah, yeah. I
good.
loved those. I
Yeah.
always had
Because
a
they're washable.
yeah, it wasn't
Easy.
that big. Just take a fucking car wash. Also, we all had this free discount code for this one car wash. So we would go get our car wash every single day. Like everybody had the code. You
Oh,
would
I
just
love
roll up to
that.
the fucking thing at this gas station, you punch in the code, you get a free car wash. I wish I had that now. Car washes are very expensive in LA. Jesus Christ. Anyways, so I had a million different colors of those little marker things stowed away in my trunk. Mind you, I was 15, so at this time I could not drive, but the mission would have to be in one of my friends' cars because I was young for my grade. So everyone was 16 at the time, luckily, in my grade when I was 15. I also would dye my hair black because during this time, that was the opposite of what most people, usually would do in a breakup. Even now, I feel like every time somebody gets broken up with, they're like, I need to dye my hair blonde.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
true.
what?
Sometimes if you're already blonde, then sometimes the dramatic change, typically that leads to like red.
Yeah, yeah, or like some fun color, but I just
Yeah.
felt like black just really signified my grief,
Yeah, it's like
you know?
a funeral moment.
Yeah. So also most people during this time, including myself, had blonde hair because it was like the it girl thing to have back in the day. And black hair would have been like a wild statement because everyone would think I was goth, which whatever. And also probably would have saved my strands because I have naturally dark brown hair. So black probably would have been good for it, honestly. But then the next thing I would do was hook up with a girl from a neighboring school. So I wasn't out at the time, nor did I think I was admitting this to myself, but I always did have a crush on this girl that I worked with at Hollister, which I didn't work at Hollister until I was a senior because you can't work at Hollister when you're 15. But let's just
Right.
pretend we're doing that now. And I regret never hooking up with her besides, some makeouts and a threesome or two later on, but maybe
I love the casual switch from like some makeouts to like a threesome or two later on. You know,
yeah. But this is of course 15-year-old me, so we will keep it tame here. Where we won't be threesoming. I was not. I was not doing that at this young of an age. We'll keep it PG. So also, I'm from Michigan, so we would take a road trip to Canada and gamble money that I stole from my dad away.
ooh,
So I would have a fake ID that maybe said I was 18 or 19. I can't remember how old you have to be to gamble there. I think
I think
18.
at the time it was 18.
But I think in Canada, you can also drink when you're 19. So if I had a fake ID that was 19, I could gamble and drink.
True.
you know?
True.
So my dad never noticed when things were gone. He had too much of everything. And I recall later in life when I would go up to the casino in Canada, I used to joke to my guy friends or my boyfriend at the time that it would be more fun to actually throw $1 bills out the window instead of going to gamble it away. Because and honestly, I still live kind of by that because if I'm going to do something reckless or harmful like gambling, I better be in control of what happens with it. So if I'm going to waste my money, I'd rather know that I was having the joy of throwing it out the window than, some casino taking it. I don't know. The next thing that I would do was go to a national cheer competition, which, just feels inspiring in retrospect. I was never going to be a professional cheerleader, but I think I got in my head a bit about knowing that part of the reason why I was switching schools was also because of this guy went to that school and I wanted to be closer to him. And then he broke up with me and now I'm switching schools and I'm going to be at school with him and also, cheering for potentially something that he might be in or other people that he knew might be in. And so I needed reassurance that this was also for me and like because I was really talented in it. And I was also going because the school was so much better in this thing that I really wanted to do at the time. And so I think going to a competition would have really helped me. And then the last thing I would do is start a YouTube channel to update everyone on the activities of that summer and that I was checking off the different bucket list items because I just think I always thought that YouTube was kind of like lame when it first started. Like I would like almost make fun of people for doing it. And then years later I was like, God damn it. I'm doing way cooler shit than these people, but I could have been a YouTube star, but I just thought it was lame. And now these people who I think were lame are famous. And I'm like, all right, great.
Should have caught on to the YouTube thing while you could have, kid.
I know. And then it would have led to other things that I could be doing now,
Right.
That's the summer of 15, not 2015, but just my 15-year-old self.
Damn. Honestly, it's a beautiful summer.
I know.
I want to go back and talk about the summer after I graduated high school, right before I moved to LA, because I quite literally was like a fucking hermit at that point. I was just working and building up so that I could then move to LA. But I think if I were to do anything different, I feel like I would have went on one big like Euro trip with
I knew
my
you were going to say that.
friends.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, I would have loved to go to Italy and Germany and Amsterdam and just like did a whole thing and see.
Maybe all the places that you're from. So
That's
Italy,
literally,
Germany.
I
I
would
can't
have
remember the
to
other
go
ones.
to Poland as
Yeah.
well.
Why not?
I would like plan a trip probably with, not even probably, it would have been Brooke and I and like maybe one or two other friends, and we would go to, because she's also Italian, like we would go to Italy, see the land of our people, go to the beach, hang out, eat really great food,
Yeah.
party, because
Maybe
over
find the
there,
love of your life. Maybe you move there. Who knows?
who knows? I think also I think my aunt was living in Rome at the time, her and my uncle. So I could have went and visited them. Like I feel like I should have done so much more, but I was so hyper focused on just plotting and planning. So I think if I were to redo that, I would go on a really extensive, like 2, 3 week, maybe even a month long
Definitely a month.
Euro trip.
It's summer, so there's
Yeah.
3 months in summer.
Fuck
You
it.
could go for
Yeah.
a month.
You could go for the whole summer, bro.
You could.
Spend a month in Italy, a month in Germany, a month somewhere else.
I'm low key like sad, even though I'm so stupid. I spent a summer in London, in Scotland, in Paris, and then I spent another summer in like Italy and Spain and whatever. But I wish that every summer I would have spent it like in a different place
Right?
in Europe because now we don't get summer. I wish I had summer again.
I know. I wish
This
too.
is making me.
Like
This episode is actually making me low key so sad.
I know, because I want to go on an adventure. I want to like
Give us the
take
summer off.
Yeah.
We need to be from Australia or something. You know how they get those big breaks?
We need our careers to fully take off. That way, whenever we
We could
have
take a
downtime,
big-ass break,
it's
yeah.
like a month of downtime, and
Yeah.
then we can
Between
take a
movies
vacation.
or whatever the fuck it is. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well,
yeah.
damn.
Wow.
Anyways, well, we gotta bring the mood back
Now that
up
we're
here.
fucking
Now that we're
depressed.
so sad. Oh, everyone has had those couples that they need to be together. You may even ship them, as they say. In our Galentine's Day episode, we talked about just that. However, there are characters that we fall in love with and daydream about that, we would love to have a relationship similar to, and or maybe we wish we were that girl with that character.
So in today's episode, we will be doing a play on the segment.
We ship it.
Except we'll be shipping our character crushes with ourselves. So we'll talk about the origin of the crush and how it's evolved with the actor who played them over the years. First and foremost, Ashton Kutcher. He was the big dumb idiot on that 70s show.
The big dumb idiot.
Come on. This is why
I was just talking about Dude, Where's My Car with someone too, and about how he was perfect for that role.
That's another one. He's actually like, he's so fucking intelligent, actually, but he plays the dumb hot dude so well, and also punked. Like the show on MTV Punked. He was the fucking host of it. He was punking people. He's so funny without even trying. I've loved Ashton Kutcher for so long, and every single character he plays one, he's just beautiful to look at. Just married with Brittany Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in so many different things throughout the early 2000s. He was the early 2000s it guy, and I will stand by that.
Great
hair, great smile, like great teeth, great eyes. He's just so truly like a beautifully chiseled human being.
Yeah.
And he has aged like fine fucking wine.
Looks exactly the same, almost.
Truly, if not got hotter. And I didn't think that was possible. And you know what? Good for Mila Kunis, another one who is just equally as hot.
Yeah.
They're such a beautiful couple. Good for them.
Yeah. Well, my first one, Hannah already knows. It is.
The listeners already know.
The
too,
listeners already know.
Over him on this podcast before.
Wow, creamed over him. She says. Jesus Christ! It is none other than Devin Sawa. Okay, what a name! What a name, Sawa. I don't know about that, but I'm gonna go through. These are the things that I loved him in over the years. It was Little Giants, to Casper, to Now and Then, to Wild America, to SLC Punk, to Idle Hands, to Final Destination, to playing Stan in the Eminem music video. And then he kind of fell off for me personally for a bit there.
Wait, he was Stan in the Eminem music video?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. This is just like really quick side note. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. He's Stan.
I didn't know that was Devin Sawa.
He's Stan, dude. That's him.
This is, I have
the performance of a lifetime.
The
performance of a lifetime.
Quite literally the performance of a lifetime, because that I have such a strong.
That music video, everyone knows this music video. It's iconic for all.
I'm wondering why.
Dido, is that her name? Dido?
Yeah.
Yeah. I barely remember her name, but do I remember his performance? Of course I do. I can see it now in my head. I can see him fucking scribbling down on the goddamn sheets,
it's the
freaking
manic,
out.
Just like fucking writing intensely. He really got like the stalker fan energy.
He's a great actor.
Incredible.
He's a great actor. Okay. So he fell off for a while, and then he came back for me in Hacks with a bang, quite literally. And now I'm going to go through this. That was just the naming of the amazing things that I've loved him with. So I'm just going to say it. This is the hottest actor that has ever existed for me. And I will tell you, because I loved him since I was an itty bitty child. Okay. And I'm big on voices, as I have already mentioned in this episode. His voice is so endearing to me. I don't even know. It's just like cool, It's just like a cool guy's voice, but it's also kind of different at the same time. He was just also cool without trying, like in how he moved and how he operated. And when he needed to, he was awkward and cute. And when he needed to, he was dark and messed up in the head, like in Stan, and frantic. And then also those big blue eyes, which for all that do not know, I actually get very freaked out by blue eyes. Not a fan. Not really a fan of them. But with Devin, they were more expressive than like any guys I had ever seen. These blue eyes. Okay. His hair was always falling in the right places every time he moved. It was kind of like when Justin Bieber used to do that hair flippy thing, but his was more like chill. His wasn't like, oh, I'm trying to get it out of my face. It was just like falling about as he was walking around. And he definitely had more. People were like, oh, what about JTT? What about Jonathan Taylor Thomas? It's like, yeah, JTT was like hot or whatever, but Devin had like an edge.
I forgot about Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Yeah, of course, dude. Did you know that he was like half Portuguese?
What?
Yeah. But yes, so he had more of an edge than JTT. And whether I knew it or not when I was younger, I like a bad boy. And so the people that he dated, you knew this man was fucking. He was a fucker.
That man was fucking.
He was fucking. Okay. He was fucking. And then it was confirmed for me when he bangs Deborah Vance in Hacks, which we talk about in the episode with Marco Para episode. But that is obviously my favorite episode of Hacks for him alone. Now he has tats all over his body and is ripped, and his face has aged as only a white man with blonde hairs could. But despite all that, because I'm not saying if he wasn't an actor and I didn't know him and I just saw him on the street with how he looks now, I'd be like, yeah, maybe, I don't know. But that is not the case, right? So I still find him to be a sex god even at this point. And also, I need to mention that if you have ever seen him on Instagram or any sort of social media, he drags people constantly. He's like a daddy on Instagram. He's very liberal and he just drags like Trump. He drags anybody who like does fucked up laws. He doesn't give a fuck. He just like posts all this shit like dragging everyone, roasting them. He doesn't care. I love it. I love it. And he's very cute with his kids. So he is the biggest crush I will probably ever have in my lifetime.
That's actually, I can confirm that you are in love with Devin Sawa.
I love him.
That
And one time he retweeted my tweet.
Oh, she freaked. She freaked. If we could ever get Devin
Life
Sawa
made.
on this podcast, like if anybody knows how to get Devin Sawa, slide in my DMs, please. Let's surprise her. Let's surprise her for her birthday's coming up. In
Cameo.
September.
Give me a cameo at least,
Let's go. Okay. Bringing it back to one of mine. Who this is a shared love that we both have, that we have talked about many a times on this podcast.
Many a times.
The one, the only, Adam motherfucking Brody. Seth Cohen until I die. That man, that character, that man also, oh my God, he was in like a lot of like little, I mean, the OC was really like the kicking point for him, but then he was also, I mean, I've watched a lot of the shit that he's done more so recently, but he did that movie with Anna Faris, Smile. No, not Smile. Happy something. It was a high movie. But Seth Cohen's character was like my first true love of that's a character I truly fell in love with. This is why I love a nerdy, weird, goofy guy who can just embarrass himself in public and not have a care in the world, but is also like in tune with his feelings. And like, no, this is also why I love Jewish men. This is where my dating streak of dating primarily Jewish men came from, is Seth Cohen. I love the brown curly hair moment. He is truly like the epitome of my type of man. He's also very like political in terms of like liberal and sticking up for what's right. He made a movie called Kid Detective, and it had further meaning behind it. He made it, I think, for his kids, or like with his kids in mind. Oh God, I love him. I love him with Leighton Meester. I think it's so cute that Seth Cohen and Blair Waldorf got married like that, and the fact that they still like play off of their characters once a year.
Yeah, that's so
That's
cute.
so cute. I just love Adam Brody.
Yeah, well, Adam was actually my last one since I was going in order, but I will skip down to that. So obviously, we've already mentioned Seth Cohen. Hannah forgot, but she also loves Jennifer's Body.
You.
Yes,
Thank
Jennifer's
you.
Body.
I don't know why I blanked on that.
And then Ready or Not, which was another one that I mean, he didn't play like a huge part in that, but he was obviously still in it, and it was because of him that all the stuff was happening. Single Parents, which was a show on NBC for a while that he was in with Leighton Meester. And then one that I don't even think you've watched yet, but I've told you about, is Startup, which is a very dramatic show, which has, I think, 3 or 5 seasons, I can't remember, on Netflix, which I highly recommend. But everyone knows, obviously, that we both love this man. We talk about him all the time. Also, what I thought was, finally, we have a super hot nerd type. Because usually when we have a nerd in like a TV show or something, like it's like Seth Green, or like, I don't know, somebody who's like really short and kind of like mousy, and like,
sometimes it was Justin Long.
yeah, but he's still not like hot like Adam Brody is.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
there's
he's
an
still kind of like an
aspect,
odd.
I think Justin Long is hot.
Right, but
But
he just looks like a standard.
That's where beauty is in the eye of the beholder
Right.
comes in.
Yeah. But I'm saying like
Standard. Like,
yeah.
yes.
Like, I felt like they would make them not cute on purpose, like when they would cast them. That way, when they got like a certain girl in the show or in the movie or whatever it was, we would be like shook. We were like, oh my God, I can't believe they're together. You know what I mean? He also, as Hannah said, began my love of Jews as well. Although I haven't dated many Jews, but I'm very open to it. Please come to me. I'm looking for one for Hanukkah this year. I would like to go to a Hanukkah party. So obviously, when him, of course I was like, of course Summer wants him. Everyone should want him in this fucking movie or in this television show. But I thought that the things that he did for Summer were so cute. I could barely take it. He loved all the same things that like I did at the time. You know what I mean? Like he liked like emo music and was kind of like more bizarre, like comic books and shit like that. And he was also funny. He was so funny. He was very funny in that show. And then we went to Jennifer's Body, and he wore guy liner and like sang emo songs. So are you fucking kidding me? Obviously,
Well,
give him to me.
And seeing him play such an evil character, from going from Seth Cohen to the lead singer of what the fuck was that band?
I don't know, but Through the Trees was a banger.
We gotta overlay that in a video.
Through the Trees.
We gotta overlay that.
You gotta put it over the social media. And then we didn't see him for a while, and then he decides to marry Blair Waldorf, as you mentioned, which is wild. And I know we've spoke about this before, but it's so iconic that this happened, that two huge characters that were really big during this time decided to marry each other. Ready or Not, he's like evil as all hell, and I love when he's evil. I think, it makes me want to jump his bones when he's evil, because I love evil people.
Again with the bad boy thing.
I know.
It's
gonna come up.
It's bad boy lore.
It's gonna come up a lot in here as we're talking. And then he's cutie as all hell in Single Parents. And then can someone yell range? Because Startup is an amazing drama that you all must watch, that I got sucked into one day at my friend Kalina's house, and I ended up binging all of it. And I will probably watch everything that this man is in for all time.
All right. Another one that I've talked about a few times on this podcast. Not necessarily like early 2000s, but like whenever I was a teenager, I was in love with this man, Dylan O'Brien.
I feel like you're still
because
kind of in love with him.
Still love Dylan O'Brien. If anybody got to connect to Dylan O'Brien, please hit me up. I've been looking.
She been looking.
But Dylan O'Brien as Stiles Stilinski in Teen Wolf. That was, whenever that show came out, first of all, it was such a like weird phenomenon, because I think it was right after Twilight. There were vampires incorporated into it. There were werewolves. Like, there were so many mythical creatures. It was an MTV show, and MTV had picked up a lot of different shit. But Dylan O'Brien, this was his like,
He made that show.
Oh yeah, he made the show.
He was
This
the
was
best
his
character.
like turning point in his career. This is what made him big. I think this like was his first actual audition as well, if I remember correctly, whenever my Dylan O'Brien hyperfixation was big. But from there, he was then in the Maze Runner series. Like he's done so much other stuff. He was just in that one film that came out in I think like 2020, and it was another like mythical type
It was like
world
monsters of
adventure.
something. And then he was in that like Are You Not Okay or
Not
whatever.
okay.
Not Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
with Zoe Deutsch. He's so, to me personally, again, like nerdy, goofy dude, kind of same energy as the Seth Cohen character. Funny. And I guess like that's my teenage years of being like, oh, fuck, he's close to my age because like I think he's like 30 or something. That could be a thing that could happen actually. Maybe one day, who knows.
That's kind of funny because I feel like I'm just looking at my list and I'm like, I picked so many people who are so much older than me. Like none of these people are my age.
I tried to go for like there are some on here that I know would
I think
be
Adam Brody
so
is the youngest one and he's what,
that's
like 42 or something?
wild. That's wild.
I know. The
Your
next
next
one that
one.
I have, I can barely even say her name. And honestly, it was more about her character specifically than about her as an. A lot of these are, the actor and the character. Her, it was the character, but it is Larissa Olenek. And she was the girl who starred in The Secret Life of Alex Mack. And if you don't know what that is, it's about this girl. It was on Nickelodeon, I believe.
Mhm.
And it's about this girl who gets in like this chemical accident. Like she gets all these chemicals on her or something. And then she somehow has like weird powers because of it.
Yeah.
And so she, whether we knew it or not at the time, had token lesbian outfits on. 100%. She would always have like a backwards like baseball cap and like a big ass like long sleeve t-shirt with like stripes on it and like a collar or something, like oversized shorts and sneakers. She was very tomboyish. Obviously she loved exploring because she had all these fucking powers and shit, so there was always weird stuff happening that she had to like figure out and use her powers for. Also, she would just fuck with people sometimes that were, like things you would love to do that you couldn't do when you were a kid, like your teacher does something bad to you and then you fuck with them. That would have been great, but I don't have powers to do so. I felt like it was kind of like a longer version of like a Matilda situation a little bit, but obviously not in the home case of Matilda. And then she was also in the Babysitters Club at the same time. And I had all of these books when I was younger. I loved them. So when the TV show came out, I was really jazzed. And I also babysat as well, much like many other girls back in this time. We were like, I also think about it. I was like 8 years old, like watching babies by myself.
Yeah.
Like I was like very young. They let you babysit when you were very young.
You
for
were
some
a
reason.
baby watching a baby. Like
now
that's
now
insane.
people won't even let people that they don't know, who are adults, like that they don't know super well, watch their babies. And it's like,
Yeah.
you were letting a child watch your kid. Foolish. But there I was. None of them died or were severely injured. Here we are. Yeah. And then of course she was in 10 Things I Hate About You, which I believe in one episode you said that you were her character. I thought she was really hot in this movie. She was kind of annoying in the movie, but she was also hot. And she's on a lot of kids shows nowadays, so she has fallen off of my crush list after probably 10 Things I Hate About You. Honestly, she's not as edgy as like her earlier stuff. I wish she would have became a lesbian, honestly. But if they ever have an Alex Mack reboot, I will write on it. Give it to me.
Make her gay.
Yes. Make her a little queer girl.
Make
wow,
her
I'm going to
gay.
pitch this. Nobody steal this from me.
No one steal it. Dipping back, we're going to Chad Michael Murray. King. Another king of the early 2000s, if I may say so myself. He was, obviously, One Tree Hill. He was he wasn't Nathan Scott.
Lucas.
He was Lucas Scott.
I was a Lucas girl.
I I go back and forth still to this day. Some days
But
I'm a Lucas
I
girl,
did
some
just
days I'm a
post on my
Nathan girl.
Instagram. Did you
That's
see
because
that post?
James Lafferty. That's and not, I should have added him to the list instead of
I used to
Jesse
think he was
Metcalf.
old as
Um,
he was ugly as fuck, and now I'm like,
you used to think he
whoa,
was ugly.
yes.
I thought, honestly, I kind of thought that his character was a little bit hotter than Chad Michael Murray, but that's because he's more so my type.
Right.
He
Yeah, I like
fits
that. I like
into
the
my
like
type
emotional
bracket, but
guy.
Chad Michael Murray had the bad boy aspect. Like he had that like rough around the edges, still very sweet and down to earth, but like yeah, One Tree Hill, Freaky Friday, Cinderella Story. Like the list goes on and on and on. And he just
And now he's in Riverdale and he's still hot as fuck. Obviously, it's not going anymore, but he was like a cult leader in Riverdale and he was so
he's
hot.
still, I mean, that's another guy that just aged like fine wine. And it's really great for us to look at and
Yeah.
appreciate. And on it, he's a very talented actor as well. Like he does have a lot of range within his roles. He went from One Tree Hill, very dramatic and like heart wrenching, and went through a lot of different trauma within that show in itself, to Freaky Friday, where he had to be like a comedic aspect. You're dating Lindsay Lohan. It's
And
Jamie
then
Lee
wasn't he
Curtis, and you
also
were also in love with Jamie Lee Curtis's character. Like it was.
wasn't he in some scary movie too with like Paris Hilton? Am I making that the House of
Oh
Wax?
yeah,
Wasn't he
he.
in
I
House of
think he was in House of Wax. I get there. Horror range. This man has range, and he's hot while doing it.
So Hot? Well,
Love Chad Michael Murray.
same. My next one, Eliza Dushku. Okay.
Good one.
She bring it on to Buffy the Vampire Slayer to Dollhouse. When I was 10 years old, I fell in love with this bitch. 10. And there was no one cooler than Missy in Bring It On. No one cooler. She was this like anti cheered, like dark, super talented gymnast. And I was also, I also was kind of like, fuck being a ditzy blonde, like bimbo. Let's fucking rock. But also, cheer is a performative art for me. So I still kind of wanted to do it, even though the stereotype was that it was like the dumb blonde girl who did it. And also, I was very good at it. So I always wondered, like, how could I do this in my own way? And Missy, she taught me how to do it in my own way. And then she kicked ass in Buffy, and whew, she was the villain once more, which was smoking hot. Obviously, we got bad boys, we got bad girls, we get everyone who's bad. I
You love
like
the bad
yeah,
energy.
yeah, and so everyone in Buffy was so horny. It was such a horny show, and all the characters just had such sexual chemistry, tension constantly. I
They
felt
all were also just hot.
true.
Like
I mean,
everyone in the show was hot.
that's
So
what
like
they do
obviously
with the
there's going to be a lot of
WB
sexual tension. They do that all the time.
and the
90210.
CW.
90210,
Yeah,
fucking the OC,
everything.
One Tree Hill, all of them.
Then she went to Dollhouse, and after that, I kind of fell off from Eliza. And I think she kind of fell off from acting too, for the most part, when I was looking up her IMDb. And I'm not really sure what she's up to these days, but I thank her for awakening a major girl crush in me. So I'm still interested. If she came out with something now, I would definitely watch it.
Oh no, likewise. She's an incredible actress. Freddie Prinze Jr. Oh my god.
You
Freddie,
do love him.
I have honestly, I had such growing
Puerto
up.
Rican. This is your Puerto Rican start.
I know.
Led to Bad Bunny later
dang,
in
it
life,
led to
but
Bad
now,
Bunny.
yeah.
God, yeah, no, Freddie Prinze Jr. From a young age, because I had a like weird affinity for Scooby Doo and like the cartoon of Scooby Doo. So whenever the Scooby Doo movies came out, and Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar and Matthew Lillard, like the entirety of that cast was so incredible. And I loved Freddie Prinze Jr. from I Know What You Did Last Summer, and like other films that he had. Cruel Summer, I believe, as well, right? Was he in Cruel Summer? Or no, he's all that. She's all that.
Yeah, she's all that.
But the Scooby-Doo movie is what really did it for me, because I loved seeing him play the character Fred. And again, fits my type quota. Like he's funny, goofy. He can play the bad boy. He has like the dark hair. He has the tall, dark, and handsome aspect. And like watching his relationship with Sarah Michelle Gellar over the years too, like that power couple. And now he's kind of like he's not taking a break from acting. He's still acting. However, he also like posts a lot of cooking content and like grilling content.
Aw.
He's such a dad, and
Grill
it's
for
so
us.
cute to see them be like parents and watch their
Domesticated.
relationship over the years and how it's just gotten stronger within like being in the public eye, which is also something you don't see in Hollywood with relationships.
Well, my last one, which of course was right before Adam Brody's, but is Colin Farrell. Okay. I went from Phone Booth in 2002 and then SWAT later on. But when I was trying to find the origin of this crush, because Phone Booth came out when I was 12. So I'm like, I realized it was all because he was dating Britney Spears. That's why it had nothing really to even do with his characters or anything that he was actually doing with acting. I couldn't figure out when I locked into him, and it was because he was dating Britney Spears, and I was jealous as all hell of both of them. I would have loved to be dating both. I would love to be in a threesome with these two.
With them.
Holy shit. Yes, sign me
That's me
up.
with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr., honestly.
Wow.
Or Adam Brody and Leighton Meester.
Wow. So then when Britney came out with her book and she talked about how they were just constantly fucking like animals, her and Colin Farrell, I was like, yeah, we all knew that. That's what we were hoping. That's what we were hoping all along. You know what I mean?
Everyone wanted that for them.
Yeah. So over the years, he has really shown his acting chops. I will say in general that actors like from the UK or like that are not American in general tend to be quite serious in like the roles that they pick. And I don't know if that's because they come from like more of a theater background and they actually learn like the history of like a lot of where acting came from and whatever it is. So they do tend to pick those type of things. But I feel like he loves the challenge of a transformation because he got caught so much in the beginning just being like this super hot guy who like goes on these adventures and like kills people and like is the muscle with the gets like the girls and fucks them or whatever. And then so he started like doing all these crazy things. Like I still can't believe how he looks. Yeah. Penguin is the one where he turns into Penguin, which is crazy. It doesn't look anything like that. However, you know, I don't really adore a ton of those movies nowadays. The like more serious ones that like win Oscars and stuff. I'm not really like, you know, when people are like, I try to watch all the Oscars movies. I'm like, yeah. I mentioned earlier, I'm not really a film girly anyways. I'm more of a TV person. It's just like, I don't know. Some of those movies are just like a little bit too out there and they're always so fucking long too. Mm-hmm. Like I just cannot pay attention. So I think I'll just stick with what I got for him, you know?
Okay.
So, thank you for getting hot as all hell with us this summer. We will have many more Let's Stories, We Ship It, Let's Go Back, and Rewrite History in future episodes, along with several other fun-filled segments and guests.
In the meantime, make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at OCS Productions and let us know which segments you love, which segments you really fucking hate. We're making a lot more social content as of late, and we want to hear from you.
Yeah. Also, please rate us with a sparkling 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. 5. A whole hand. Ooh, my nails look really long in this. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, that's true. Ooh, okay. Ooh. Anyways, you really get the point of the 5 now. Write us a review on Apple Podcasts because we want to hear from you, right?
Of course.
And we will catch you next time for more She Said